comes in. You, as a producer, people currency is very important, right? What I did was I reached out to everybody that worked on that shoot. I explained to them what had gone wrong. And because there are people that I had worked with over the years, it was easy to get everybody to come back to the location. I had to call you in favors. So what went back into that shoot was my fee and the director's fee. Went back into shooting that. Between you and I today, I don't think I've seen that DIT guy after that shoot. He wasn't even remorseful. It was literally arguing and saying he copied footages. Because I always do backups. So even the backup hard drive, the main hard drive, the scenes were not there. But I could not start telling clients that DIT, it will not even look professional. So we had to reshoot. In fact, it was the most expensive set that was missing. So you can just, I mean, imagine if I said, so that's why I'm like, as a producer, you need to think on your feet. Some people start panicking, or you probably switch off your phone. You know, there's really, nothing you can do. Things will go wrong, and it will be on you. You will make sacrifices. You will make sacrifices. There are shoots that you get on set, stylists bring something else. Or there was a shoot that it was like from the beginning to the end, everything was just going wrong. I think, I mean, if I made 5K out of that shoot, I don't know how it happened. But there and there on set, a lot was just, client is there, you can't start. They've paid you the money, they've seen your treatment, you've already assured them that everything is going to go well. So as a producer, you need to have that back of your mind that you will make sacrifices. And it's not an every time thing. And you will also always learn something new every time. There's always like an experience like, okay, this is how I handle this, is how to handle that. It is a continuous learning process because you're a team lead. You can't hide behind anybody. You are not a DIT, you are not the gaffer or something. You are the team lead. So there will always be issues, and then critical thinking and problem solving has to be one of your strongest points. It's, very, very, very important. Back to people currency. I always say that as a producer, one of your soft skills or something that you should embody is being an empath. You need to put yourself in people's shoes. It's easy to be a boss and then you don't really know what's going on with the other people, but you need to be able to carry people along. They need to be able to talk to you because at the end of the day, their output is going to affect the job in total. So you need to carry your crew along. People currency, I keep saying it's relationship with people. It's really, 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 it's really important, right? Because you really don't know. Imagine if I was a shitty producer, when I had to reshoot that, do you know how much equipment is? Do you know how much gear, But I could easily go back, to the rental company and just explain to them, oh, this is what happened. Some people now answer you. Because it's like, it's not my business. I don't know, I'm running a business. But, people, to be honest, I was even surprised, because it was even more than the director and producer's fee. There was extra, but people came through. They were willing and happy to help. If I was a shitty person, nobody. it's not their business. Like I said, till today, I have not seen that DIT guy. The main cause of the problem, I have not seen the guy. So people currency is very important. So for hard skills, I mean, basic use of a laptop, budgeting. Personally, I don't like Microsoft Office. So, I mean, there are other apps that you can use. If you use a Mac, there's Numbers. Numbers is equivalent to Microsoft Excel. That's for your budgeting, right? There's, for Word, I think on Mac, it's Pages. Yeah, if you use a Mac. The equivalent for Microsoft Word is Pages. Right, that's then for slides, The equivalent on your Mac is, I think it's called Keynote. So that's what you use to do things like style references. You want to do a treatment and, you know, and things like that. So I will just take us through like the process of what it takes to like put together a music video and then a commercial, because commercial is a different ballgame entirely. You're dealing with brands. For music, you're dealing with artists. So for music videos is pretty straightforward. I mean, they say they usually, you know, yeah, boss, that's our honest is a lot, but it's pretty straightforward. You get a song, you sing it a couple of times. Like I said, it's not every time that the director does the treatments. There are people that's what they do. It can be the producer, it can really be anyone, but there's an idea, right? So it's brainstorming. Your client approves your treatments, then a budget is done by the producer, right? Once your budget is approved, in terms of budgeting now, before, you know, we go into it, in terms of budgeting, you need to know how to choose your battles and fight your battles, and you need to be realistic, right? And with time, it's not a thing that you know, but with time, as a producer, once you see a treatment, without even knowing your breakdown, you have an idea of what it will cost. And that's like with overtime when you're working overtime, but it's a thing. There are people that they just call you and tell you, they've not even seen your treatment. They just tell you, my budget for this shoot is 10 million, right? And sometimes out of excitement, you agree. And then now they send you, some of them will send you the song and will tell you the idea that they have. And when they come 10 million and tell you that I don't shoot in private jets. And you've agreed. Some people are so smart, they'll even send you the money before you send the treatment. So you're literally stuck. So you need, that's what I said, you need to know how to fight your battles. You need to be realistic. You need to learn how to stand your ground. Personally, don't send me money. What's your idea? Do you have an idea? Can I listen to the song? If you don't have an idea, okay, we'll develop a treatment for you. Once we are done with the treatment, we can agree on the budget. Don't ambush me and then because if something goes wrong, it won't say, oh, that's what I gave them. There's the whole, you didn't do my projects well. So you need to learn how to stand your ground. I know that because of the type of, we are creatives, we don't do 9 to 5. So once there's a job, you're excited, you don't know when the next one is coming, but it can really backfire. They would not say, you know, the money they gave you was not enough. So you need to learn how to fight your battles and how to be realistic, right? So in terms of budgeting, so this is where people currency comes in again. Yes, sometimes you have more than enough to work with. Sometimes because of relationship, you want to manage a budget. You cannot do the project on your own. You need crew members, right? So by building people currency, you can always adjust. Oh, okay, I'm doing the shoots. I know that this is what your fee is. But, you know, based on, you know, I don't usually pay. You know, there are ways to go around this thing because whether you like it or not, you have low budgets, you have high budgets. It's not usually the same thing, right? So budgeting, people currency matters. And then being realistic. When there's a treatment, if you know you have a treatment, it's going to cost 10 million naira and the person is trying to tell you 7, you can try, you know, to make adjustments but if it's, don't do it. I know that it's usually hard, but don't do it because it will backfire. It always does. And the client is, like I said, client is not going to look at, oh, I didn't pay them enough for what I asked for. Half of the time, they always do that, always want more than what they paid for. But as a producer, it's your job to know, you know, when to say no, when to turn down a job. Sometimes, not everything. It's not, once something not for you, it's fine. Somebody else might do it at a lower rate, which is cool, but it's always good to have standards. It's not everything that you want your name on. It's always, there's a reason why, then you have the back of mind that there's a reason why they came to you in the first place as a producer, right? So it's always important that you know how to stand your ground, right? I think I also mentioned that it's good to have a knowledge of every department, from lighting. I mean, you might not necessarily know how to light or how to operate a camera, but you know basic things. It's really important, so that somebody bring rubbish to you and then you just, accept it. Right. So after you get your treatment and the client approves, you do a budget. Sometimes they pay what you ask for. Sometimes there's negotiation, but you know how you need to be realistic with that to make sure that, okay, if they're asking for a discount or something, it works with the treatment. And then there's something also, when you're giving your client your invoice, right, make sure that you put the exact fee that the video was supposed to cost and then indicate that there was a discount. So that when they are coming back next time, they're not coming back with the, with the same thing that, oh, the last time I shot it 5 million. You can always go back and say, there was a discount. This is what it actually costs. I know it's something that a lot of people miss, but trust me, it helps. People are like that, oh, please do it for me now. And then it becomes do it for me now for like the next 5 projects. And then when there's somebody, you move to somebody else and then pay the person more. So you need to, emphasize on that. This is a discount. This is what it would usually cost. The next time you are coming, we're doing it at a full price, right? Budgeting, and then once send your invoice, then you also need to always give like a timeline to when payment is made. Don't make anybody rush you. There are people that they come, oh, I want to shoot on the 20th, and then after the 18th, you've not paid. We are creatives, like I said. You don't earn a salary. Somebody can't hold you to ransom when they've not paid. Because now the issue is somebody else comes and then you cannot move forward because somebody else is hanging. Oh, I want to shoot on the 20th. But then you've not even made payment after the 18th. Right? So you need to always, let them know. Okay, you know what? Payment needs to be made maybe 5 days prior to shoot date, 7 days, whatever works for you. Really, it's important that you let them know, right? So pre-production stage, this is where people management comes in properly, right? As a producer, so you usually have assistants. We have the line producer, we have the production manager, depending on the scale of the production. But basics, line producer, production manager, production coordinator, PAs, right? I'm sorry, people that do the major pre-production work at first, right? So you need to, also as a producer, you need to learn to delegate. It's like really important because trust me, there are tiny things that you will miss out on because you are managing a lot of people at the same time. So say, your line producer literally does almost the same thing that you do, right? So she's like he or she is like your right-hand man. So you can delegate, okay, you're supervising production design, face that. The production, I know that in Nigeria, I know that we're getting there. Most of the time, people always assume that a production manager is a producer, but they don't do the same thing. To be fair, a production manager's job is mostly on set. That's the day of the shoot, right? But again, Nigeria, they usually just, rope everything. Somebody hires you as a production manager and then they expect you to be doing the work of a producer, which it shouldn't be. So that's why once you decide on whatever it is that you want to do, you need to really know what your job, description entails. If not, you do more than, like when I started 10 years ago, there was no arts director, production designer. It was production manager first. I mean, for music videos, it was production manager, and then you literally had to do everything. I mean, for set design, you get like a set designer, someone that builds the sets, but you're literally the one supervising, you're the one doing conceptualization, you're the one doing color palettes. It's easy, for you to get overwhelmed, right? It's now that we have, a production designer, we have an art director, prop masters, there's a, this integration now, which works. Right, delegation. So you need to be sure of what your job description is. So so that somebody is not overusing you and doing something else. Right, it's really important. So a production manager and a producer are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. And in terms of producers, they're like a bunch. We have the production, we have the line producer, associate producer, consulting producer, depending on the scale of the production. But for music videos, it's usually straightforward. You have the line producer, you have production manager, production coordinator. That's usually like the producing team with the producer, right? Then we now have like PAs and runners. Those ones are usually like more of on sets, like the production manager and the production coordinator. I hope I've not confused you.
What's the difference between
Which?
Coordinator and manager?
They do almost the same thing, but the production manager is more involved than the coordinator, right? So the production manager delegates to the coordinator. So majorly what the producer does is a delegation again, right? To the production manager. Production manager handles everything. The coordinator, you can do a delegation, okay, handle the talent, handle like, there's a welfare person, but then the coordinator just to make sure that, okay, everything is, going on smoothly. Like I said, it depends on the scale of production. Not all productions have a coordinator, right? So it depends on the scale of what you're doing, right? So in pre-production stage, right, things that you need to make sure for, you need to do your recce. Very important. That's when the director, so the key people that you usually need at a recce, the director, the producer, the gaffer, who else? Set design or art director or production designer, right? Those are the key people you need during recce. Sometimes, depending on the scale of production, again, you need your grip as well, right? So those are key people. Director, producer, production designer, art director, set designer, who again, grip and gaffer. And then, of course, the producing team, the line producer and the producer. You need them at recce, very important, right? And then pre-production now starts, right? If it's usually, for me, I always prefer, depend on the scale again of production or the kind of set design or production design, I always like for that to start at least 2 days ahead of the shoots, depending on the location as well, if they agree to that. But if there's that freedom, it's always good because from time I've noticed that is what makes shoots take longer. Set design, production design, these are the people that like, take time. Then for your styling, it's also advisable that they send you pictures at least 2 days before your shoots, because what you will not want is to have surprises on the day of set and then there's really nothing you can do and then it just disrupts your whole plan. So it's always good to check up 2 days before. There's time for them to make adjustments. Are they following color palettes if you guys have one, right? So check on the stylist. If it's not something you can do as a producer, again, delegation. I know that sometimes you want to do everything by yourself, but trust me, it's good to delegate, right? So delegation. Shoot day is the most relaxed of all. You've done everything you need to do, everything's come together, you have your shoots and whatnot. Now, post-production, right? A producer's job doesn't just end after the shoots. You need to supervise post as well. Most times people say, oh, it's the director, but then it's still your job, right? You're not the one editing or anything, but you still need to supervise because you guys have the editor or whoever is editing, especially if it's not the director editing, you can supervise as well. If it's director editing, it makes it easier. But if you are outsourcing an editor, the person needs like close monitoring to make sure that the person understands what division is, right? Depending on if he has VFX, you need to supervise that as well. You all understand the vision better than the person that is doing your post for you. Depending on the scale of production too, you can get a post producer or a post supervisor. So that person is doing that and just reporting to you the progress of of how it's going and whatnot. I know that post-production people are frustrating. So what I have learned over the years again is there's a timeline. So I usually, even if it's not a even if I don't have a tight timeline, I like to give them a tight timeline. So that way you give room for whatever excuses. I don't know what it is with Nigerian editors in particular. is always war, right? So you need to learn, give them it. So say maybe you have 14 days for your post in total, just saying. You can tell them that you have 10 days. So you work with that 10 days. So you have 4 days. There's room for whatever corrections, or if the person says he will send something on Tuesday and doesn't send it till Thursday, there's always one thing on the other. So and you need to also communicate to your clients, right? A realistic timeline. Because I've noticed over the years that with clients, that's one major thing that pisses them off. You have like a timeline and then you cannot deliver, and then you're giving stories, you know, and whatnot. So for commercials, it's a whole, you're working with brands. Now you're not working with artists. They are very, very particular. It's why commercials usually cost more than music videos most of the time, right? Because music video, you can get away with a lot of things. You can get on set and something is not working, you can change it. You cannot do that for a commercial. For a commercial, the client sends you a brief. It is even very important to ask for a brief. It is very, very important to ask for a brief. Some of them usually don't have, but to save yourself from problem at a certain point in time, you need to ask them for a brief. When you get your brief, it usually has details of everything, from their color palettes, what the brand identity is, the strategy, who their target audience is. So it even helps with coming up with the whole idea for the commercial. Again, anybody can do the treatments. It can be the director, it can be the producer, right, for the treatment. Now, once it's done, there's something called, once they approve, right, some of them tell you what their budget is from the get-go, some don't. Right, they want to see the treatment first and then you do a budget and whatnot. Budgeting, invoicing applies the same way for music videos. It applies to commercials as well. It's the same thing, right? So now the difference between commercials and music videos, you usually have meetings, endless meetings. Your treatment, you have to have a meeting, a virtual meeting half of the time. Once it's approved, you do your budget. Most of the time, most brands don't pay in full. So they do this 70% or 80% first, and then you get your balance. Yeah, you get your balance after the job has been. So you need to, sometimes, depending on, how elaborate the budget is, you can afford to pay everybody and not all. But if, it comes to terms that you cannot pay everybody, contracts are important. I know that is not a thing in Nigeria, but to save yourself from problem, again, contracts are very important. Even working generally, even music videos, like I said, it's just that, the way everything is, but contracts are really important to just, avoid issues, right? So you make sure there is a contract between you and whoever is coming on board, who they are going to owe, what they are getting first, if they are getting 50% first, whatever they are getting after. There are also non-disclosure agreements. There are usually also, for the talents, there are contracts of, okay, this ad is going to run for a year, this is how much you are getting paid, So there are, depending on the scope of the production, there are different contracts for commercials. But the standard ones are usually the NDAs, really. And then the talent contracts, that's the one that states, okay, this is how much you're getting paid, and the commercial is running for 1 year, is running for 2 years. Some brands usually renew, but it's always, they will even ask for it. They'll ask for those contracts, right? Okay, yes, so for commercials, we have something called a PPM document. It's called a pre-production document. Pre-production document. So PPM means pre-production meeting, literally. But we just call it PPM documents, that's what it's called. So in that document, you have your storyboard. So once the treatment has been approved, right, you now get a storyboard artist. So this storyboard usually shows exactly what is going to be shot on set. So this is where the director comes in, right, and gives like his shot list. Okay, we open up with this. There is close-up shots, there's medium shots. Exactly what is going to be shot on set, because brands are not production people, so they don't really understand, but they want to know that, oh, you know what you're doing, this is what we're doing. So that is where the storyboard comes in. So it shows like each scene of what you're shooting. So the storyboard is in the PPM document. The styling in that PPM document, your cast. So usually for brands, your cast document usually has pictures with options, right? Not just the pictures, it needs to have videos as well of your talent, acting out what they're supposed to be doing in the commercial. So it has the name and age, basically. That's like the basic info that you need for your talent. So for the cast, you have your pictures and then you have your videos side by side. Them acting out what role they're going to be taking in commercial. I mentioned styling already, production design, documents, and then the location. So you have that meeting. So the first PPM is usually an idea of what you want to do, if that makes any sense. So the proposed location, proposed styling, proposed cast, literally, right? So once that meeting is done, the client says what they want, the changes that they want and whatnot. Now the second one is usually before the actual shoot. So now you have everything that you actually need. So there's the actual costume already. So you have the pictures, right? You need to show the clients for them to approve. There's the actual location. Now the production design person is now able to work with the picture of the location you're actually using. So there's the full demonstration that, okay, this space, we're changing it to this. So the client is seeing exactly what's going to happen. Like I said, brand people are very particular. Very, very particular. You can't come on set and change anything. It's going to, it's going to cause issues. So once that is done, there's the shoot day, right? And the scope of commercials is usually bigger than music videos. There's like a whole bunch of people. That's where, when I said, oh, producers for music videos, you can do like a producer and a line producer. You need a production manager and a production coordinator, your PAs, maybe usually work with two. Again, it also depends on the scope of the commercial as well, right? Then once again, so usually the post-production for commercials usually takes a while compared to a music video, right? Because they usually want to do first cuts, second cuts, there's all that usually goes on. But then again, the same way you handle posts for music videos, same way you handle posts for commercials, you need to, artists are a little bit more lenient in terms of their timelines, but brands have a whole bunch of stuff they've planned up, and then, so you need to, give them realistic, time. If something goes wrong, it's always good to communicate. Communication is very important. I mean, for both music videos and commercials, communicating with your clients is very key. It will save you from, sometimes they might flare up and whatnot, but they know already, and there's really nothing you can do about it, right? So, you have a question?
Yeah. So for commercials, what are the videos? Is it just that video?
Okay, so for commercials, clients differ. Some of them just want 60. Most times, commercials are 60 seconds. If there's anything, because that's what TV stations will take. But for their YouTube station, most of them usually take, above 1 minute. That's 60 seconds. But the common deliverables that they usually ask for 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. So it's also important to know that in terms of costing, your editor, your colorist, your sound designer, they're going to charge you based on how many of those deliverables, right? So it's important to know that when you're doing your budget. I made that mistake before, and it wasn't funny, because they literally charge for each. They'll ask you, if you reach out to an editor, what are you doing? It's a brand video. How many are you doing? Because they can't, if there's a 60 seconds video, they cannot just cut it when it's already done. So it's like they're starting all over for everyone. So that's why they're charging you for each one. So that's how it works for commercials. Okay, does anybody have any questions before I close up?
As a producer, you said you mentioned on music
And commercials. Yes, that's like brand videos, brand content.
What's your greatest
Okay, I think I have worked with almost all A-list people, and with time, you get to know people's characters. Okay, let me say, for example, if I have to work with a Davido, I have the manager's number, I have the logistics person's number, so I know how to, first of all, I would never give Davido a morning call time, because I know he will not come on set in the morning, unless it's probably his music video, which is even everybody has their own, issues. So with communication is important again. You send your call sheets as early, as possible. You let them know, even if they are not chasing you away from the location, just to, make them come early. Or this place I'm using, they are giving me till 8 p.m. We need to start on time. You need to be on them. You need to be on them. At the end of the, sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. So at the end of the day, like I said, with time or as you work with people, you know what their shortcomings are, how to handle each person, and and all that. But communication is important. You need to be on them. As I guess if your call time is 7 o'clock and his call time is 9, as I guess on set at 7, you're already calling. You have the manager's number or whoever your contact person is. So you need to be on them. People management is important. I think that's like my greatest challenge, even with crew, cast. People management is usually like my greatest challenge, basically. Yeah. Okay.
Listening to you, what's like relationship between like producers and directors, and in terms of collaborating and bringing visions? Like you said earlier that everyone can do treatment.
Yes.
Is there any clash of egos? Like?
No, I mean you both want a good end result, right? It can really be anybody. One person cannot continue to do. Imagine you have 5 shoots that week. One person cannot continue to do everything. Do you understand? It's even when a director does a treatment, right? There's still inputs from from other, and that's what even makes you valuable. To be fair, nobody wants a yes man. That's what makes you valuable. You need to be able to put in place. Oh, let's do it this way. We can do it that way, and all that. So there's never usually. I don't think that's been an issue for me, basically. Yeah. Okay. If there are no more questions, I'm done. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, I still be needing it. Okay, okay. All right, no problem. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Producer. Okay.
You want me to start?
Everybody, okay.
No flash. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
Oh yeah, come now, come in.
Thank you. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Victor, how are you doing?
Yeah. Picture.
You can sit by the poolside.